Hello, hello, hello. All right, it looks like we're live. Thanks everyone for coming to our second kind of series of webinars that we've been doing. My name is Stephen Farrig. I own Campus Ink Printing. I have been in the business for about 5 years. And just so I kind of get some updates in the chat box, where are the shops coming from? I'd love to hear where your shop's from. So if you just want to put in the chat right there. Who do we got today? I see Joe. Good to see you, Joe. James from Ann Arbor. Good to see you. Cool. Treasure Keys, New Hampshire. John. Awesome, awesome. Hi, Justin. You're so kind. Jenny from St. Louis. Awesome. Alan, good to see you. Traxler, cool. Stony Creek, awesome, awesome. So it seems like we have a pretty good group. Your audio is less than awesome today. Thanks, Alan. I appreciate you. Bruce from Printavo bought me this because he said my audio sucked. So he said I had to use a nice microphone. What's going on, everyone? So we're going to continue what we did last week. We're going to go into Zapier pretty heavy today, and we're going to go into how to run the burner email. I've gotten a ton of awesome questions from everyone via Facebook or email or whatever of people trying things out, messing things up, breaking things. So, I think as we continue to do these, the questions can, start to surface and we can start to work through them. If there are specific things that you're struggling with or questions that you have, I understand that this is kind of like teaching almost like entry-level coding a little bit. And so sometimes you might be going in circles and you're like, I have no idea why this is happening. And it might be a really quick fix. So if you didn't watch last week's stuff, we kind of did an overview of Zapier, what it's going to do for us, some of the functions of it, primarily actions, triggers, and filters, and how it works with Printavo. Today, we're actually going to dive into a Zap. We're going to build one out. From today's Zap that we're going to build, you can do a lot of different things for it. So we are going to build the review email that tries to get a Google review for you. It's been one that everyone's been asking about. All the concepts that I cover in there will be able to do, it'll lead you to be able to do other Zaps, so you can start imagining, different things along the way. So, the biggest misconception with using Zapier is if a status changes, then a Zap will be made. And that's only true part of the time. Basically, the way Zapier works is anytime an invoice is updated, it will trigger that Zap. So a lot of people have been making Zaps trying to filter out a status. And when they do that, for some reason, it's zapping twice. Has anyone dealt with that at all, or where things are happening multiple times? Well, what's happening is that Printavo is changing anything, not just the status, and it's triggering a Zap. So while using Zapier to search for when an invoice is updated might work, it could also send multiple Zaps. So if we're sending a review email and it's sending it to them 2 or 3 times because your production manager accidentally just moved it on a calendar, that could be a really bad look. And I didn't realize that until that started happening. And so with kind of coding and logic, there's always a workaround. And what I've discovered is by using status change notifications and sending an email, you're able to create instant Zaps that only happen once. So what we're going to cover today is the burner email and why that concept is so important and what you can do with it. And from the burner email filter that we're going to build, you're going to be able to start to create some pretty cool Zaps. The one that we're going to do is the review tool. So I pre-built this, but I'm going to do it from scratch. just to show everyone exactly how it's done. And I'm going to explain it from the ground level so that you can watch this video, you can play it back, and you can actually build this app. So before we actually build this app, it's important to try and write out the logic that we're going to attain. And so what we're going to do is we're going to map out exactly what we're looking to do. So basically what I'm looking to be done is when the status is either picked up, delivered, or shipped, I want, so in Printavo, right? We'll just put a little box there that says in Printavo, when the status goes to those. Oh, it looks like my screen is not sharing. Sorry about that, everybody. Thank you for doing that. My bad. All right. Thank you, Jess. I don't know what I'd do without you. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to just write out exactly what we want this app to do. So in Printavo, when an order turns to picked up, delivered, or shipped, we then want it to send an email, right? The end result is we want to send an email. And we want to send an email that sends a review. Sends review email. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start to think through what Zapier can give us and then what we can pull from it. So how I'm going to build this is like this. Whenever the status changes to picked up, delivered, or shipped, I would like Printavo to send an email to a fake burner account. I use burner at campus.inc. So if I go into status change notifications, and for me, we have picked up, shipped, or delivered because those are just kind of three different statuses. I'm going to, sorry, we have quite a few of them. And we're just going to do picked up or delivered because I don't want to mess up my logic, but we're just going to do picked up or delivered because when we do shipped, we do something else. So when it's picked up or delivered, and I've been told my sound sounds weird. Can everyone hear me okay? Or is my sound goofy? Can I get some love if you can hear me? Sounds fine. All right, it's weird. Sit closer to the mic. Okay, gotcha. How about now? Great, thank you. Yeah, I'm not really into the new mic thing, so I appreciate that. Thanks for letting me know, guys. All right, so when it's picked up or delivered, I would like Printavo to email burner@campus.inc, and all I want it to do is just send an email that says this invoice has been picked up or this invoice has been delivered. Now you can use Printavo short codes if you want, so invoice ID is right there, but actually in the subject line, it will put the invoice ID in there. I just did it to be redundant a little bit. So whenever an order says picked up or delivered, all we want it to do is send an email to my burner account, okay? So that's the first step that we're going to build in there. So send email to burner account. And we're going to do this, we're going to use a status change notification, okay? And what that's going to do, the reason we're sending it to an email is because it's only going to happen once, right? It's one instance, and so it can't send duplicates unless someone goes to that status and changes it back. So if someone went from picked up to delivered to picked up to delivered, it would send multiple zaps, okay? But we think that we do a good enough job that when it's picked up, delivered, or shipped, we only hit that status once. So we've set that up in Printavo to go ahead and just send a status change notification email to burner@campus.inc. Now what we're going to do is we're going to just double check that it sends that status there. So what I do is I just search, I'm going to search the inbox and I see that it's been working. Okay, good. basically what we're doing is we're using Gmail just as like a center for like, just to receive that data has actually gone through. I can double check that it works by taking an order. We'll say in this case, test order. And I could say delivered. Okay. So we know that the status has changed to delivered. So if this worked, in my inbox, I should have an email that says that, boom, status changed to delivered. It's got the invoice number in there. Cool. So that is what we call like the pre-trigger. Now we're going to go into Zapier, and we're actually going to search for that same thing that Gmail did. So now we're going to go into Zapier, right? And the first thing we're going to do is, and I'll start this from scratch, we're going to make a Zap. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit the Gmail button, okay? So we have that. We're going to create a Zap, and all we want it to do is search Gmail, okay? So I choose the app, right? Use Gmail. Then I choose a trigger event. And basically, we're going to use a trigger when an email matches a search, okay? So when a new email comes in and matches a specific search, then it will trigger the Zap. So I'm going to click continue. And now it's going to ask me to connect to a Gmail account. You can have as many of them, plugged in, whatever. I connect to the burner account, and then I hit continue. And now we have what's called a search string. So by default, this search includes folders and the inbox, more or less. And so what we want to search is the subject and what the stat that it's been changed to delivered, right there. And I believe, let me just double check my logic here. I believe that you can use the OR function here. Let me just find that. Let me just double check. So a new email matching a search in Gmail. And the search that we're going to look for is delivered or picked up. And in your case, it's whatever status you want. I mean, it could be anything, right? This is where, maybe you have something, an invoice got paid, right? You could search for paid. Maybe it's when something gets reproofed and you want to search for that status. How often does it do that? So we're customizing the search. We're clicking continue. And what we're going to do is we're going to test it. By doing this test, it's actually going to run the Zap, and it's going to see if it can pull results. So 1 second ago, it matched an email that says invoice changed from status, and you're going to see all this HTML code in here, right? And this formatting and all that stuff. That's because it's basically pulling all of the raw data that's coming out of that email, okay? And so all we care about is this invoice number. That's all we care about. So what we need to do is we need to extract this invoice number from this mess that we have here. So to extract it, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to search in Gmail, and then we're going to search for subjects, right? And Luke or Jess, they just posted all the search operators that you can search for. You can search for a bunch of different things in your email. And what it's going to do is it's going to display raw email. When it displays that raw email, we now need to do something with it, okay? So what we're going to do is we're now going to say, when this email comes in, find a quote in Printavo that matches the same invoice number. So what you would do is you'd say, do this. Okay, so if, then we're going to do this. We're going to search for Printavo. And we're going to choose an event. So we're going to choose find an invoice or quote. And the search, so connect it to your Printavo. It's going to connect. And what we're just going to search is, let's see here. We're going to search the subject line of the email that we just pulled. And so basically it's saying, all right, what are you giving me to search? What are you giving me to go dive into Printavo? And you're just going to click on that subject line right there. That subject line is coming from the email. And if we see that number right there, 13747, it'll search it, right? And I can click test. And it says a test order was sent to Printavo, and it returned this order. So I can go in and just double check that this order actually went through, that it's the right order. And I see that, okay, 13747, that's the right customer. That's all the information we need. And so we found it. We found the invoice basically backtracking through our inbox. So we're going to search in Gmail. We're going to display the raw email data. Then we're going to connect it to Printavo. And I'm just doing this visually so we can kind of see and walk through it. So then we're going into Printavo where we're going to find an invoice. We're going to use the subject line data, and it should yield the correct order. Okay. What if I change the name of my status right now? If I change my name from delivered to out for delivery, the Zap would completely break because it's no longer searching for that subject line. So something you have to be careful about is when you enter in different search features, if you go in and change something, so you just change the name of a status, it could mess up all of your different Zaps. So as you start to create more linked Zaps, you want to make sure you have really good documentation so that you know, okay, that's where I'm searching for that. Because it'll break, and then you don't know why it will break. And so what you can see here is an outline. If you click on this button, outline where we're going to do like what the history actually is. Okay. So we're going to search for the invoice. It yielded back this order. And so it's going to output all this data from the order, okay? And the next thing I want to do is then send an email to the customer with a review. So I would click on Gmail again. I would say send an email. And it would say, all right, continue, it's working. And we're going to send it from my info account. And now I want to send it to the email address that was listed on the Printavo order we pulled. And, you know, you can put a from, you could say, like, I put it from me usually. I put Steven at campus.inc, basically an alias. And then, you know, just maybe because it looks more personal. And in the subject line, this is where you can get very creative. So I have one that says, and it basically just says, thanks so much for placing an order. We appreciate your business. If you wouldn't mind leaving us a review on Facebook, I would greatly appreciate it. And I give them a link to our Facebook. I also put on there, if your order didn't meet your expectations, please reply back and let me know. That way I can handle them. The issue there is if you send a review to a customer you don't want, that could also field really bad results. And I'm going to go through exactly how to avoid that in a little bit. But for starters, we're going to say, hey, customer. And what's cool is you can insert that customer data again, see there's full name right there, and if we scroll down, there's last name. We'll find it. It'll be first and last somewhere. Here, customer first name. Put a comma there. And I sign it, myself, Steven. There you go. You could label it in your inbox, and I label it review emails, just so I know all the emails that have gone out. And you could send an attachment every time of, here are the orders that we've done in the last month. Here's a PDF of all the coolest art that we've done. Whatever it is, you could kind of get a little crazy with it. And so you have to put a subject line in. I put a subject line that's pretty personal. So I say I'll say something like, would you please leave us a review for your last order? Or I'll put their names, or I'll put, would you please do me a favor? Right? And people think oh, this is coming from Steven. So I make a personal subject line. I use this variable data to actually put the order, nickname, all that stuff in there. So we could put the invoice number and the invoice nickname. So here's your order 13746 for this customer right here. Okay. And we hit continue. Right? Now, I'm not going to test this one because this could actually go to a real customer. So I'm going to click skip test. And when you're doing this, you should probably use a test email. But in the simplest form right now, this will send review emails right when the status hits delivered, picked up, delivered or picked up. And this is the most simple Zap to build, but there are some issues. And so basically we're going to go back into Gmail and we're going to draft an email with review subject. And the body is going to be a question with a hyperlink to Facebook or Google or Yelp or whatever it is. And maybe to keep, this is a good idea to keep maybe Facebook running and, Google, you maybe do picked up to the Google review and delivered to the Facebook review. So you're hitting all different ones. Or you make one link saying, would you leave us a review on one of these platforms? I like to get very specific to say will you leave us a review on Google or will you leave us a review on Facebook? Just because I feel like that gets a little bit better feedback. So in the simplest form, this Zap is done. It's built and it will send out an email every single time it's picked up, delivered. It's picked up or delivered. Now there's several issues that are going to come up. The first issue is I don't really want to send them a email right when they get their stuff. Okay? Because maybe, we want to wait a couple of days. So with Zapier, it has an amazing feature where you can actually create, there are these helpers right here called helpers, and it could delay your Zap. So in this case, I'm going to add a delay, and it can do after a certain time. For me, I just do delay for, and I think we do 5 days, and or you could do 1 week, whatever it is, minutes, hours, seconds, whatever you want to do. But you can delay the Zap. So by putting in this simple delay, it makes it feel like you're actually doing legitimate follow-up, kind of after the job has been completely delivered, the event went well. You could even ask in this case, hey, would you guys send us pictures from your event so we could highlight them on social media, right? That way, you want content for your Facebook, have your customer send it in. Now they're leaving you a review and you're posting about them on Facebook. They're going to love you. If they're not a contract cleaner, those rules might apply differently. But we want to delay that, and I think I put it in here right now as 5 weeks, and so I should make sure delay for 1 week. And you can see what the other rules are. I use just the simple delay, but you can do delay until, so you can pick a time, or you can do like there's basically like conditional queues, delay after queue. I don't know if you're ever going to learn that, or if you're ever going to need that. It just like orders it, I guess. I don't know what that is. But by putting in this delay, it's going to feel a little bit more professional. Can anyone start to think of more problems that might arise? I'd love to just get some feedback right now, like, okay, the email's going out, now what, right? If anyone wants to just kind of shout, what issues might arise, there are a couple more that we kind of need to solve, and we can use Zapier to do that. So Dan said it best: someone who has already reviewed gets an email again. Then they know you have a robot doing it. Bad luck. Or, Dan, I'm going to do that again. Say a customer has 4 different orders, right? Does that mean they should get 4 separate emails? And so this whole repetition thing can get kind of annoying if you don't do it properly. So we're going to create a little step in between to make sure that we don't, that doesn't happen. So we added a little delay, and the delay kind of went right here, right? And so what I want to do, and I have to think about this for a second, is, all right, how do I make Zapier know who has already gotten an email sent to them, and who's already given me a review, because we don't want to bother them again. In our case, all I cared for is that they were getting 1 email after the job, and that they weren't getting double hit. I just didn't want to spam people or have them keep, there's companies and services out there that like signpost where they'll keep sending it until they get the review. We don't really do that. We just ask for it within a couple of days and hope it works well. So what I thought was, all right, after we send the initial zap, what if I just made a list of everyone's emails so I know who not to send it to? And what if the Zap checked that list against what data it was pulling to make sure that the email was not on that list, right? And so what we're going to do now is we're going to create a little feedback loop inside the Zap that's going to do that for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, after we've sent that first email, we want to go into Google Sheets, and I want to update a row, or create a row on a spreadsheet with that customer's email. So I click Create Spreadsheet Row, and I go and connect Google Drive. And the spreadsheet that I built was called, we'll just call it Do Not Send List, okay? So if I go over here in Google Docs, I basically just have a little spreadsheet called Do Not Send List. And what I'd like it to do, I'm going to take the emails off of it, is after it sends the first round of emails, like when you put this Zap in motion, then we want you to just, put their name right there. So I'm going to connect the worksheet. And what I'm going to do is, what data are we going to use? We're going to use the customer email address. And we're going to click connect. Okay. Uh-oh. It says, to finish this step, he'll need to take care of some issues. Step 3 needs attention. Something happened in step 3. It wanted me to delay, and the Zap did not go through because there's a delay going on. So what I actually will do is I'm going to remove the delay just for today, because the Zap won't run because it's supposed to wait a week. So I'm going to go back into that. I'm going to create the row. There's the sheet that we connected. Click continue. and I'm going to click test and continue. And we're going to see if it worked. It inputted that customer's email right there. Okay. And so basically, every time it sends this out, it's going to just chart the who it sent it to. And so what we're going to do though, so after we have put it in Gmail, we're then going to go into Zapier, and we're going to go into Drive, so Google Sheets, and then we're going to update a row on a spreadsheet. And what's pretty intuitive is, like, if you just follow the directions that Zapier is telling you, it'll literally walk you through every single step of it. So it'll say, connect to your Google Drive. Okay, log in. Connect, which worksheet would you like? This worksheet. You know, what tab would you want? You know, sheet 1 right there, right? And so we create this list, and this Zap is basically going to start running. But what we would like to do now is create the check. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go up in front of in our starting point, and we're going to create a check to see if the customer has actually been on that list. So I go back. What we're going to do is we're going to look it up, and we're only going to continue if it does not exist. So we're going to do 2 more things right here. So we're going to, and let me just make sure I do this correctly. So find a quote in Printavo. We found that customer's name. And now I'm going to look up Google Sheets again, because that's where we got to go to. And I have to search a spreadsheet. So I'm going to click the search function. I'm going to connect, again, that same Google Doc. Connecting that Google Doc. There's the spreadsheet we're using. The worksheet is sheet 1. The column is do not send. And the value that it's trying to look up is from Printavo, that customer email address. It says here, create a row if it doesn't exist. We do not want to click that because it'll add it to the row, and that means they will never get an email. So I'm going to click continue. And I'm going to test it. And it's figuring it out. And it says, look up spreadsheet. It was successful. It found out that that customer was in my spreadsheet. So we found it. We're going to kind of stick that right in between, and we'll draw this up a little nicer for everyone. But this is going to be the searching the email in the Google Sheet, right? The little intermediary step right there. But once it's found that, we actually have to do something with that data, right? So we found a match. Good, we've made a match. Now what do we want to do? We want to kill the Zap. So what we're going to use now is a filter. So we go into our helpers, right? And we kind of just like, it's like lasagna. We're going to go right in between those. And we're going to say filter. And now this is basically creating like exceptions. So only continue if the email address does not exist. So basically, if it finds that email, do not run the Zap. continue. And it says, your Zap would not have continued. Perfect. So now basically what we're doing is we're killing the Zap right in between, that last step that sends the email out. Now, what we do at our shop is whenever we get a review, we basically have a rule that we have to reach out to the customer and thank them, but we add them to this list just so that they, basically if we never want, that doesn't really make sense, but we just make sure that they're not ever getting another one again, because once they've sent it once, we never want them to get another one because they've already done it. So it's really important that we check and make sure they're not going to get another one. If your Zap works right, it should do that. But yeah, so we always send a follow-up thank you email that they've gotten it there. Now, what you can do every 3 to 4 months is you can figure out who's left you a review and who hasn't. And you can remove those emails from the list if you want the Zap to do it again the next time they place an order, right? So while it's not going to do what the $300 or $400 a month package does at Signpost, at least now you're starting to get reviews. We kind of did this pretty aggressively in the last 3 or 4 months. We have 50 5-star reviews on Google just from it. It helps your local SEO so much. Google indexes your site higher when they see that people are coming to it and leaving you positive reviews. So, it's just such an easy way to just kind of keep on autopilot. And there's some other things you can do to, doll it up a little bit. I've even seen people go as far as if a review comes in, search Gmail and try to find their name, and then, do something about it. Send them a thank you. In our case, we just send out a thank you because it should be a thoughtful email sent out. So why I like this Zap so much is because it really goes through every piece of Zapier. It uses Gmail, it uses Printavo, it uses Google Sheets, and you can start to connect it to, lots of other things. So after it's in Google Sheets, maybe I want to, Slack it to someone, and we want to send a message to one person, in your office saying a review email has gone out to this person, right? I wouldn't necessarily do that in that case, but if you think about it, maybe when statuses change, you're using Zapier to send Slack messages instead of necessarily a status change notification email. By the simple tools that we use every day, it's just a very, very easy way to do little shortcuts. We were working with Brian at Advertise, and he was working on some Slack messages to his artists in different channels. And when he did it through the burner, it was able to do single instances, which was really, really cool. So by we started with a very simple Zap that basically searched Gmail for a status change, found the order, and sent the customer an email. And then we added it, a checking function to make sure it was checking against if it's there. So what I'd really like to do is kind of open up the floor a little bit and answer some questions and work through them because it's an ever evolving, I had a Zap revelation 2 days ago and I called Luke up being like, Luke, I figured one more thing out. And those things are going to happen. So I would love to hear from the group if there are specific Zaps that you would like done or questions that you might have. We're definitely open for that right now. So no questions? Questions, comments, concerns? I don't see any coming in. All right. Oh, what about your start, press? Gotcha. Press start and press stop. Thank you, Jess. What is your second favorite Zap? My second favorite Zap is press start and press stop. So I'll show you guys this one. We basically have a status in Printavo for when the press starts and when the press stops. and that sends a burner email to that same inbox. And you can literally use the same logic. So I can literally duplicate. I can duplicate that zap that we just made, except I can make a search function that says press start or press stop. And then we can find the quote. And instead of looking this up, we could just create a row in our Google Sheets that just charts it out. So it says press start, press stop. You could even make it so that whenever the press starts, it sends someone a text saying, "Hey, press is running right now. Press is not running right now." Okay. So that's like one that I really, really like, because it measures how fast they're working. And my guys are pretty incentivized to do it. I basically tell them, if you can give us better data for when you're working, we can schedule better. It's not a way to be like a tyrant and be like, "Oh, this job took you 5 hours." No, we just use it for collecting good data and doing like a time study. Jeff, is there a way to automate status changes with Zap? Extending the automation in Printavo, which is limited in certain roles. Yes. So, meaning can Zapier change a Printavo status? No. So it's kind of a one-way ticket. You can't, let's just put it this way. You can't necessarily update a status, but you can create a new order with a certain status. That could be something on the wish list for Zapier, is being able to update a status. But yeah, do you do setup, start, and or no? We just do job start, job finish. When there's too many buttons, are they really going to hit it when they've actually finished setup, and then then they started printing? I think we just want to know job start, job finish, how long does the job take, and that's that. If something goes overboard, like we have cameras that we could backtrack, but I incentivize the guys to just get a good measurement of that. I second Daniel's question. Have you found a way for tasks to be assigned to an invoice when it changes statuses? I have not messed around with tasks a ton. I don't think it's super robust. And basically, you're saying, is there a way for tasks to be assigned to an invoice when it changes status? Now, in Printavo Premium, and this is something, if you guys want to reach out to Jess, she can help you out. If you go under preset task lists, you have all your different tasks. We've got tasks for building online stores. We've got task lists for closing online stores. We have a general task list that goes on every single one. You can go into automation and hit when this status hits, apply the task group from this task group. Now, it's only one set of automation right now, but I know the roadmap is to have more of these. So currently, no, you can't necessarily do that, but at least you can do one. We always assign general tasks to an order, and then based on the type of order it is, the person processing it will add the specific task. So if it's a DTG job and they need to pre-treat and export the PNG, the person processing the order will say, okay, DTG, and we'll assign it there. So yeah, that's how that one works. Any other questions? Do I feel like a mad scientist? Sometimes. This is fun. I really, really enjoyed this. So yeah. If there aren't any other questions, I can answer a couple more. A lot of people have reached out to me to build Zaps for them. I recently got engaged, so I have a wedding to pay for. So I will happily build Zaps for you to a capacity. If you want to reach out to me directly, my email is right there. You can push it on the button on the bottom. steven@steven.inc, and you can just shoot me an email. I do run a business full time, so I kind of do this as a hobby. Most of my Fridays are spent doing this kind of stuff with shops. Dan, do I need shirts printed for my wedding? Funny thing, Barrel Maker is going to live print the wedding because they're awesome. And if you need live printing, you should hit up Justin at Barrel Maker. There you go, Justin. But yeah, I'm happy to work with shops on Zaps to whatever capacity. I'm happy to research and figure out if something's possible. I understand that sometimes you're just like, I just want someone to do it for me. I'll happily do it for you, but I have to teach you how to make changes, because if you call me every time a status changes, I probably will stop answering after a while. But I'm happy to teach. I have a couple shops that we work with, but yeah. So next week is where Jeff, where we're going to go into the line items and formatting. Or not next week, but I believe, yeah, next week, Friday and Thanksgiving. I believe the week after that, if I'm not mistaken, maybe the 29th or the 6th. I'm looking at the wrong calendar. The 6th. And so I'm going to go into formatting. So we're going to be able to take line item data and we're going to format it, and then we're going to display it different things. So it gets very, very complicated when you do that, because you're basically rearranging matrices. And so we'll be doing it. Basically what we can do is you can extract data from your line items, and then you can do things with that data. So you can create counters, and we take Shopify, we format it, we put it into a Printavo invoice. I know some people that reformat line item quantities and break them out. So yeah, we'll be doing it. It's very kind of tough, and if you miss a couple parts, it could like make your head scratch pretty good. So that's all I've got for today. I really, really appreciate everyone coming out. Hope you guys all have a happy Thanksgiving. And look forward to chatting more. If you all want to reach out to me, this is awesome. So as always, post your Zaps in the Printavo user groups on Facebook. Let's do it. So have a good one, everyone.